When I first started this channel, a big part of my attention was put on equestrians who have developed some anxiety over riding their horse. As I went further, I started opening it up more towards equestrian athletes who are competing with their horse. Show jumping, rodeo, dressage, whatever event they're in, it's really more the same than different when it comes to what's going on inside of you. And as I've gone further, I've realized that although a lot of the people that I work with fall into those two categories, I help people with all kinds of issues, whether it be in any sport, whether it be in public speaking, giving presentations, schoolwork, business situations. A lot of people have a fear of speaking in public. And all of these things come down to having a level of confidence that enables you to meet the world and whatever happens to you in a more powerful position. And it's really something that you can control, and it's something that you would be wise to work on a continual basis, because it's not something that you do one time and then you're good to go. It's not that you build a level of confidence and then cruise from there, because stuff happens that shakes us. We might be criticized, we might be rejected. Often, it's the fear of being embarrassed. We're afraid people are going to think less of us. We all go through the world wearing a mask. We want to put our best foot forward. We want the rest of the world to think that we're great, special. The truth is we are great. The truth is we are special. Most of us don't believe this. And so we put on this mask to try to pretend to be more than what we think we are. And that's the first step. Changing what it is you think about yourself, changing how you see yourself. When we do this, when we become aware of what we're thinking and how we see ourselves, we can find what it is that's been stopping us. Because our natural, inherent birthright is to be confident. Babies don't second guess themselves when they're learning to do something. They just go for it. And that's how we are by nature. And so to reconnect with that is a really important thing. And as I just alluded to, it starts with your thoughts. It starts with what you're thinking about yourself. And so we want to be able to control that and choose what thoughts we have and develop a better self-image. Now, this includes eliminating unhelpful thoughts. And I've said in some of my other videos that it's not a matter of if something's true or not true, because people argue all the time over what's true and what isn't. And there is no definitive proof or evidence that anybody is onto the truth 100%. And so that's something that's really a matter of opinion as to what's true and what's not. It can be a lot clearer to determine what's useful and what's unhelpful. And that's a better question to ask ourselves. It's also important to be grounded enough that we are not going to be shook up because of stuff that's happening outside of us. Because we can't control what happens outside of us. We can't control how other people treat us. Not 100% anyway. In a sense, you can train people to treat you better or treat you worse. But the reality is we have no control over what other people do. We have no control over what they think of us. It's in the category of uncontrollables, and it's not even worth worrying about. It's not even worth spending any of our energy on worrying about. And that comes to learning to love yourself and appreciate yourself. Really appreciate yourself. It's a game changer. That starts with being who you are, being authentic. Because if you're not authentic, people can see through your mask. They can see that when somebody's pretending or really has a strong belief in their self-worth and who they are. And so it's important to be authentic. The truth is, people who don't love you or don't appreciate you or don't think much of you, you can't change that. Again, that's an uncontrollable. And people can see if you're real or if you're faking it, People can pick up on that. You're not really fooling anybody. And so when you let yourself be out there naked to the world with your faults and everything, it makes you more endearing. It makes you more real. And people appreciate that. And then learning to deal with fear of failure, because that's probably the biggest block from any of us. And that comes from the belief that we're not enough. And when you think you're not enough, you're afraid you're going to fail. Right behind that is fear of rejection. Because let's face it, rejection hurts. But it's not that big of a deal. Somebody rejects you. They're usually people that don't matter much to you anyway. And if they're rejecting you, why should they matter to you? Now, granted, some of them might be in a position of authority over you, a boss, or you might be in a relationship where you really love someone and they're rejecting you. And yeah, that hurts. But again, it's not the be all and end all. It's not going to define who we are as a person. And it's not even going to change who we are as a person. And then the last thing is the ability to realize what you're really worth. Because most of us don't. Most of us shortchange ourselves. A lot of people are people pleasers. They're more interested in trying to make the rest of the world happy than they are in fulfilling their own needs. Now, that isn't everybody, but there's a lot of people that fall into that category. It really comes under the category of being worried what other people think of you. And so that's something you got to just put behind you, because it's not worth holding on to. It's not the way you want to move through the world. It's not the way you want to live your life. Follow me for more, because I'm going to delve into each of these categories deeper and deeper in the next couple of weeks. Tom O'Ryan, EquestrianHypnoCoach.com.